We're going to be using Photopea, which is online. So you can click on Open from Computer or New Project to open up your file. You're going to find your file wherever it is stored on your computer, probably in Downloads, and it'll open up. You're going to select the polygon lasso tool, which is underneath the lasso tool. So you're going to press and hold to get there. Then you're going to start tracing out your animal or person using straight lines. That's part of the polygon aspect. You want to make sure that you don't cut off too much of your animal so that you still have an idea of what it is. You can cut off a little bit, like I'm cutting a little bit of the fur off and then some of the whiskers off so that it keeps it as a contained image. When you're done, you can double click and it will close the shape if you click once and it doesn't turn into the little dash lines. Then you want to go to select an inverse and it will select everything else. Then you're going to press the delete button on your keyboard and it will delete the background, keeping the animal or person that you picked. So you're going to go back to the polygon selection tool and you're going to start making triangles. Make sure they're always a triangle, otherwise this won't come out looking right. You're going to draw triangles based on the value of the area. You're going to go to filter, blur, and then average, and it will change it into one color. The average value and shade of that area that you selected. You're going to go through the entire animal or person that you picked and make it into triangles. You can zoom in just like how you do in Photoshop with Control Plus and zoom out with Control Minus. For each triangle, you're going to select. You can still double click if it doesn't close the triangle when you click. And you're going to keep going to filter, blur, average. Now, doing that takes a lot of time. You can also go to filter, last filter at the top. And it also gives you a shortcut Alt Control F, which you can use on your keyboard. As you're making your triangles, you want to make sure that you're picking areas of similar color or value so that the average comes out looking correct. Remember, when you're pressing Alt Control F on your keyboard, you don't have to try to hit all three buttons at the same time. You can hit Alt Control and then F and it will still work. And you're going to continue making triangles throughout the whole image. Making these triangles does take a lot of time, but I find it a little bit relaxing because it is very repetitive. So there's these little gaps that you can see in between the triangles. This is something that you do not want to have happen. So you can retrace your triangle zoomed in a little bit more to make it a little easier to find where it's supposed to line up. And you can re-blur and average that triangle and it will fill in that hole that is there. So as you keep working, you may make an error in where you click while you're drawing the triangles. So when that happens, you can always press the escape button on your keyboard so that it will clear that selection that is incomplete. As you're drawing the triangles, sometimes you might get the triangle off a little bit, so you can use the up, down left and right arrows on your keyboard to move that triangle around to get it in the right place before filling it in with the filter. When you've completed drawing the triangles over the entire image, you need to make sure that you go back and double check to make sure that there's no gaps or overlapping points that are in your image, because this does not make the image as successful as it could be. So you just use the polygon tool to redraw those triangles to fix the either gap or overlapping point so that they can be corrected. You want to double check the entire image, which can take a little bit of time, but it will make your image come out much better without these visible errors to your image. So as you finish up correcting any mistakes that you have in your image, you can save your image by going to File, Save as PSD. And then you want to make sure you save it to your computer and then upload it into your Google Drive. Then you also want to go back and file Export as a JPEG and save it to your computer. And you can use these settings, the ones that I came up with, and save it to your computer and then upload it to your Google Drive.